Hey everyone! Today we're diving into a film review for an adaptation that fans have been waiting on for decades. Stephen King's super intense novel, The Long Walk. So, a new Stephen King movie is out, and you know what that means. We all have the same burning question. Did they pull it off? Is it a hit, or did it miss the mark? We're going to break down one critic's take to see what they thought.
All right, let's get into it. To really get what the reviewer is talking about, we first have to understand the book the movie is based on. We gotta set the stage for this thing.
The whole idea behind The Long Walk is, well, it's pretty dark and incredibly simple. It's this annual contest where a bunch of teenage boys just have to walk. They can't stop. If they slow down too much, they get a warning. Rack up too many warnings, and you're out. For good. The last guy walking gets anything he wants for the rest of his life. Okay, so right off the bat, the movie makes a pretty big change. In the novel, there are 100 walkers. The film cuts that number right in half, down to 50. But here's the interesting part. The reviewer said that this change, honestly, didn't really mess with the core story at all. So with that context, let's get to the good stuff. What did the critic actually like about this movie? What did it do really, really well? And here it is. This was the single biggest win for the film, according to the review. The bond that forms between the two leads, Ray and Pete, was described as something masterful. This friendship is the absolute engine of the entire movie. And the good stuff didn't stop there. On top of that amazing central relationship, the critic really praised how the deaths were handled. They weren't flashy or spectacular, just raw and real. Add in some solid acting and beautiful cinematography. I mean, on paper, this sounds like a total knockout, right? But it wasn't a knockout. So where did it go wrong? Even with all those impressive strengths, the reviewer had some major problems that, in their eyes, kept the film from being truly great. And here is the core issue, and it's a fascinating one. The film's biggest strength was, at the same time, its biggest weakness. The two main characters were just so well written, so compelling, that the critic felt you just don't really care about anybody else. And this one problem creates this huge domino effect, you know? All the other walkers on the road start to feel flat, like they're just part of the background. So when they eventually, get taken out, it doesn't have any emotional punch. For people who love the book, it was a real letdown not to see these other great characters get more time to shine. So you've got these incredible highs and some pretty significant lows. How does it all balance out? It's time to get to the verdict and answer that one big question. Who is this movie actually made for? The reviewer gives a really perfect comparison to help us get the vibe of the movie. They said to think of it like Squid Game, but with one huge difference. The movie isn't focused on the spectacle of the deadly game itself. Instead, it's all about the psychological journey, the breakdown of the players. It's really a character study first. And that brings us to the final number, a 6 out of 10. But the critic added this really important little detail. It was a 6 out of 10 with a little heart. And that says a lot, doesn't it? It means even with all its flaws, that emotional core was strong enough to leave a real mark. So in the end, the recommendation kind of splits the audience down the middle. If you're new to the story and you've never read the book, the critic thinks it's a pretty decent psychological drama. But if you're a diehard fan of the book, you just have to be prepared that those side characters you love really take a backseat. But the review wraps up with this awesome, surprising silver lining. The movie actually changes the ending from the book. And you know what that means? You can watch the entire film and it won't spoil the novel for you at all. The movie almost becomes a gateway to get you to read the original story. Which leaves us with this final, really interesting question to chew on. If a movie adaptation ultimately just makes you want to run out and read the book, isn't that, in its own way, a kind of success? It perfectly sums up the critic's complicated feelings, and it's a great question to think about.